Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler. That is my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek, and we have something big for you today, something relatively big, and that is because it is the last two episodes of Book 3 Fire, or the original Avatar The Last Airbender series. We didn't do ratings last time, it's a 4-part episode, and we already talked too much the way it is, so we decided to split it in half, and therefore today, you gotta be aware, self-aware, laugh at yourself, So today is the big finale, where we're going to round out the entire series and give our ratings for the whole 4-part finale, which is amazing. Spoiler alert, sorry, I should have spoiled that. And then on to the next thing, and it's very big, it's very exciting. Kind of sad to know that we're done with it, but whatever, it's fine. There's good stuff ahead. But before we get to all that, Chris, how you doing?
I am doing great. Happy Avatar Netflix Eve, everyone. We're recording this the Thursday before this will be redropped on Netflix, and so it's like a little holiday for all the Avatar fans, and hopefully it will become a new holiday for all the new Avatar fans that it will gather, it will gain. Avatar has been on Netflix before, maybe like 7 years ago or so. Brian Kanisko mentioned that. He was like, "Yeah, we got a lot more fans from it." So I'm hoping that we'll get even more fans. And people come to the podcast, check us out after they're done watching it.
It seems like a good, perfect storm of where we're not all trapped inside necessarily anymore, but still kind of in quarantine mode. We're far enough removed from the TV show that you'd like to think that there's still going to be old fans watching it, but then also new fans stumbling across it while we're trapped in our house. And it could just, I don't know, it could just be a really perfect storm of good build-up prior to the live action series. That's really cool. So happy Avatar Netflix Eve today, and then by the time you watch this, it will be happy Avatar Netflix Day.
Yeah. I do think like a lot has changed since it's been on Netflix the last time, which was like 7 years ago. Like the internet weirdly has changed a lot in that short amount of time. I feel like Twitter is like way bigger of a thing. There's more communication across entire fandoms that I think really elevates word of mouth, and it's gonna be even bigger. Like I objectively state that this is the best show of all time. Like I say that to anybody about anything. And I think more people can start to find that out themselves.
I get a little scared of superlatives, but if we're talking about one show that has like a really good combination of mass appeal and the different genres that it carries inside of it, then yeah, I can absolutely agree that it is probably the best show of all time. Like I said, not that it appeals to the most people, but just like a balance of the number of people and the types of people who can watch and enjoy it and appreciate how well done it is. So yeah, it's
very, very, very balanced.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're a pretty good example of. I would say you're a story-driven guy. I'm a comedy guy. Doesn't matter. It's gonna hit you both if you like the dramatic stuff, if you like the feels. If you're just a fan of stellar animation, I would say don't get the DVDs because they're a little rough around the edges sometimes. Get the Blu-ray. But even if you're just a fan of great Eastern animation, well, even there's a mashup of kind of Western and Eastern things going on. So it's got everything going for it. So absolutely watch Netflix. I do think we need to distinguish this Avatar Netflix Day from live action Avatar Netflix Day. Yes. Like we need this is it's like the Easter and Christmas. That might be sacrilegious. Or it's like Halloween and whatever other mediocre holiday. I don't really like a lot of holidays, I gotta be honest. What else is there? I mean, Halloween's fine. But anyway, we need a distinguishing name. I got nothing. It'll come. It'll come to us sometime during the show.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
They might not even title the Netflix show Avatar Last Airbender. If I was them, I would title it Avatar The Legend of Aang. That way that brand sticks, and then when hopefully eventually they do Korra, it's Avatar The Legend of Korra, and then they can go off and do like a whole bunch of like one-off things or other series like Avatar The Legend of Kyoshi. That way that brand just kind of sticks and sticks. Also, it's called The Legend of Aang in half of the world.
And I kind of like that. I hadn't thought of that before. I do feel like you've mentioned it, but it's got a nice ring to it. You mentioned like the Kyoshi or like the Legend of Korra being on there, and that would be maybe the most interesting discussion is like how good would the first live action Legend of Aang have to do before they would do Korra, given like not trying to be mean to Korra, but given Korra's actual ratings and television success or somewhat lack thereof. I'd be interested to see.
It's kind of hard to look at Korra's success because Korra started off really great. And Nickelodeon did a lot of fumbling around.
Maybe some poor scheduling choices.
Poor scheduling choices, like a Friday night. That's not a great time for any show.
Almost like like in trying to pander. So I'm not nearly as aware of this as you are, but just you saying Friday night, it's like, well, are they trying to appeal to a certain audience time or whatever, or a certain audience that has grown up from Avatar: The Last Airbender? Well, guess what? That audience is not in the house during those years at that time.
I will say the great thing about Korra is that Mike and Brian have said all the time about like, oh yeah, even when Nickelodeon was like playing with the scheduling and everything, and the numbers on TV weren't that great, online numbers were like really, really big. And so I think that plays to how people view their media nowadays. And so I think if they use those figures, they can kind of make a case
can present a good business case. Can you remind me, did we watch all of season 5 online, or season 4 online?
Yes, all of season 4 was online.
Yeah.
It premiered online.
You know, you said that earlier about the internet changing and how Avatar has been on Netflix before. Well, when Avatar was on Netflix the first time, however many streaming services there are now that are like successful that people buy, that is that number times as many streaming services as were successful 6 or 7 years ago, which you know may be a small negative, but I would still say the widest number of people probably has either Netflix or Disney Plus. Maybe I know Disney's pretty wildly successful, but Netflix still has a massive user base that is probably still greater than it was 6 or 7 years ago. So I don't think the competition is as big of a negative as that is a positive, that their viewership and membership rates have still grown absolutely in that time. Everybody, I always said I would never get the stuff, and now I actually legitimately pay for Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus, which, by the way, ESPN Plus really pisses me off. But I legitimately, it's nothing that I want ever, and it makes me really mad. But then like with, I have some access to some of your stuff, access to another friend's stuff. So like I have the whole range of things.
You have all of them.
I have all of the, and as I click through, I hate myself. I'm like, Shawn, what have you became the very thing you sought to destroy. It's a shame, but I only pay legitimately for 3 of them, so I'm still rebellious in here. So, well, that's probably enough tangent. Happy Avatar Netflix Eve. We'll call this Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix Eve or Day by the time you watch this. And then if Chris's bet holds true, which, good call, by the way, I like the naming structure, that'll be Avatar: Legend of Aang Netflix Day, which has a nice ring to it in its own right. But we don't care about that one yet today. Today we only care about one thing, or 2 things, kind of. That's Book 3 Fire, episodes 20 and 21. This book was so good, it got an extra episode. But this first one, episode 20...
Speaking of that, they originally planned out 20 episodes for the whole entire year, for the whole entire season. And then on the final one, like when they're doing storyboards and everything, they're like, this is a lot of story. We can't put this in one episode. These last 2 episodes were supposed to be one episode, and like, we have to split it up. And I think the folks in Nickelodeon were like, yeah, that's fine, whatever, do that.
Like, yeah, it was crushing it at that time. They're like, yeah, you can have the extra 20 minutes.
Yeah, they were very supportive, which Mike and Brian will always sing the praises of Nickelodeon, I think. They'll be real about it, like they've complained before about scheduling times that they've gotten, but they've been really, I think, adamant partners with Nickelodeon on a lot of stuff.
And at some point, Nickelodeon's, I mean, they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm sure every show has, no matter what rate of success, has similar qualms of ups and downs. So But it was crushing it for Nickelodeon. I'm sure they're like, yeah, make it a 4-part finale. Absolutely. Well, in every episode, I mean, look at the previous 2. We got a 4-part episode, but even the previous 2 are just they're packed. They're full episodes. I'm not saying you couldn't cut out a couple minutes here or there, but I wouldn't be the one to want to pick what to get rid of by any means. Sometimes it really does. Maybe they're all this way. I'm exaggerating, but we mentioned a couple times last week that they flow together really, really well. They really are intertwined. It feels like one of those, like the Pokemon movie or something like that, like the big finale put in a movie form, because it all blends together. It's really hard to pick apart. That's a good thing, obviously. So, first one we're going to talk about, though, Into the Inferno.
So Azula, it starts off with Azula, and she hasn't been crowned Fire Lord yet, but she is sitting on a throne, and she has blue fire. I kind of wonder how they keep that fire. Like, I assume the Fire Lord isn't continuously bending the fire to their will. I'm guessing they got some pyro guy expert, and probably had to hire a new guy to get blue fire. But
it's actually just food coloring. He couldn't.
Azula probably. My headcanon now is that he originally had red flames or whatever, orange, yellow flame type of colors, and he couldn't get the blue, and Azula banished him and got a new guy to do the blue flames.
What if she started the blue flames for him and he figured out that he could sustain it? And then he's like showing off to his buddies. He's like, look, I made that. And they're like, fine, do it again. And he's like,
I think it's still more in person for Azula to just fire the guy.
That's more Azula-ish.
And banish him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Throw him off of a ship.
Anyway, she's going nuts. She's meeting with all these different people. She originally met with the Dai Li, I think. Anyway, she met with the Dai Li.
Yeah, I think she banished them, kind of.
Yeah. She's like, what took you all so long? He's like, it's been 5 minutes, princess. And she's like, in 5 minutes, assassin could have snuck in here, and I could have been killed. And then he's like, sorry, princess. And she just banishes them all.
And you know what? Nobody liked that guy anyway, whatever his name is, so it's fine.
Yeah, he's nameless, Dai Agent. But
Dai Agent number 1.
Yeah. I've seen memes of like Azula was right, because it shows like it shows the Earth Queen with Zahir. If you remember that at all, but we'll get to that.
Not very well, no. But just one more reason I'm excited to get to that stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about Korra, honestly. Just because you're not as experienced with Korra as I am.
About 1/3 as experienced as I am with the Avatar show itself. So whatever lack of knowledge I have right now, a lot, and then it's going to take a huge nosedive. I do think I want to try. This is a little tangential, but I'm really excited, and I want to say it now. I have a CRT over here, and a small part of me does want to turn the camera toward the CRT TV and play as we're talking through. The only thing that we'll have to discuss, or maybe play with a bit, is like, are we kind of letting the show do the talking and then we're keeping pace with it, or is it just on in the background and we're still just doing our normal thing? But I'm really excited. I think I'll give it a try. And see how good the audio and video quality is. So big things coming with Korra. Big things. We're going to change some minds.
I plan on it.
That was a bad tangent.
Anyway, yeah, she banishes Dai Li. She banishes this one random girl who put a pit in her cherries. She's flying off the hinges here.
She's cutting her own hair like she's in quarantine or something. It's bad.
Yeah. We should make a meme on that.
Oh, that would be good. We're almost too late. We got to do it now. I mean, we got to do it right.
I know, right? People are getting out there.
Cutting their hair in quarantine. Like, I don't even remember if she cuts it or what, or takes it. I kind of forget, but I know it's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So real quick, I like this one part where she's with Twee, not Twee in Law, Lo, and whatever the 2 old ladies
Twee
from
Law.
Fire Nation.
That's funny though. I like that.
No, one is called Lo. Oh, Lo and Lee.
Lee, yeah. Because it's like, those aren't even real names, common ladies. But yeah, she's getting really mad, and she's trying to fire one and have the rest banished forever or something like that. Getting them mixed up.
Which I love. Yeah, one of them says, like, maybe we should postpone your coronation. And she has her back turned towards them, so she can't see them, but they talk. They have the same exact voice. She says, who says that? And then they both point to each other. She says, you guys will fight in the Agni Kai to the death. Maybe she doesn't say to the death. Oh, that would be surprised to the death. And she's like, and they're
It's
like, we're
close
not
enough to character
firebenders.
that I believe it.
Yeah, and she's like, fine. Lo, you're banished. Lee, you can stay. But she got them mixed up, so they're unsure about which one should be banished.
God, what a
One thing,
jerk.
very small, but I feel like the animation. I know this is a very small scene talking about the animation, but when Azula goes like, dun, 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 and you're fired, and you're fired, like the way she moves, I can just tell that they just took, I don't know, more time and effort with the animations episode. Even though that's just a really small moment, she just moves, I think,
Great
a lot more
attention to
human-like.
detail. Very smooth, very fluid.
Yes.
Just a
Yeah, and I
testament
think
to
we
the
see that
quality
all
there.
throughout this. Yeah, I think we see that all throughout this episode.
I would say that there's probably more detail across the board, and then I don't know when it happened, but at some point my DVDs, it's all from one set, but they actually switched to a slightly wider aspect ratio and seem to be of slightly better clarity, like all one DVD set. I want to say just season 3. So sometime in there we started having a shift in how we watch TVs or what the standard TV was like too. So added bonus.
Yeah. And then as you mentioned before, she starts seeing visions of her mom. She's doing her hair and she can't get it right, which is the show's so freaking brilliant on how it uses hair out of all things to visually tell stories. Azula gets all frustrated. She says, "Fine, hair, time for you to meet your end." Something threatening like that. She cuts her hair, and it looks all jacked up. And in the vision, she sees her mother saying, "You always had such beautiful hair." And she gets into this conversation with her own mom that she is imagining. Oh, I can't think of the actual word. That's more so about crazy. Imagining.
Like
I can't
hallucinating?
think of the word. Hallucinating. Yes, she's hallucinating her mother being there, and then a lot of great character stuff. I think here, just like even you feared me. She's like, "No, Zula, I don't. I love you." And then Zula gets mad, throws the brush at the mirror, breaking it. Which okay, I have to bring up an issue I have with some fandom. Like some people in fandom, it's not a big issue. Respect everyone's opinion. But a lot of people, I've seen enough people say that like, "Oh, Azula had it worse than Zuko." I'm like, I don't think so. Um, they're like, I mean, she was abused by her father. I'm like, I don't think she was. Sure, her father didn't love. Like, there are many
Like an
forms of
emotional abuse, sure, but
yeah,
weren't they both emotionally abused?
exactly. Yeah. Well, then people be like, well, even her own mom didn't love her. I'm like, back up. Her mom did love her. One thing, Azula, they're like, oh, her own mom called her a monster. I'm like, no. In an episode, Azula said her mother thought of her as a monster. But that's through Azula's mindset. That's what she thinks her mother thinks of her. That's not the truth. And then also, Azula doesn't even know the truth because here, in Azula's own hallucination, her mom's telling her that she loves her.
Which means that's coming out of Azula's brain. So
Yeah,
Azula
that's her
knows that. Like, we don't
subconscious.
know.
Yeah,
I don't think we have the grounds to believe that her mom is like telepathically communicating with her, because at least in the television show, we have nothing to suggest that. So Azula knows within her own subconscious that her mother loves her. So the only argument I'm going to give to that is that Zuko has Iroh. Like, and we've talked about it before, how like Zuko is in like a perfect storm of circumstance to go from being a piece of crap to something useful and good and beautiful in terms of story arc. And it's mostly because of Iroh. So if there's one argument for Azula having it worse, it's like, yeah, she's stuck in the castle with, her asshole dad and now her mom's gone, while Zuko gets to like go out and grow like a normal human should. So that's about as close
I
to an
think
argument as I would accept, and I still wouldn't really accept it.
that's a fairly valid one. I mean, the thing is, so Azula's mom, Ursa, loved them both, I think, fairly equally. She probably did give more attention to Zuko, but that's probably because their dad just completely hated him. Like he told that to Ursa in his face, like, "I'm going to treat him like crap all the time because of you, because of what you did." It's in the comics. And and like I said before, there's many forms of child abuse. There's physical, you know, sexual neglect, other forms. Neglect is one of the most common forms of child abuse, and I'm not an expert at these at all. I just done some,
You don't practice.
done some.
You're just aware.
Yeah. No, I've done some. I had to done some like classes, or I won't say classes are strong word. Studying on this, had to pass like certain, I don't know, online courses
Gotcha.
to volunteer at camps and stuff that I volunteer at.
Well, and also, doesn't
But
your wife as part of like the criminal justice system? Like you've seen some sides of this happen, I'm sure.
yeah, um, but um, oh, and then verbal abuse, things like that. So Zuko suffered from physical abuse. He got burnt on his eye. Verbal abuse, his father talked down to him all the time, and neglect. And there's different forms of neglect. There's like lack of love, not providing the right resources for your kids, um, malnourishment, things like that. So Azula, I'm, she's never shown getting like physically abused. She's never shown getting any other type of those like major abuse. So then we go to neglect. She, as a Fire Nation princess, she had the best schools. She went to. She even said she went to like Fire Nation Royal Academy. Um, she, I mean, I assume she was well fed and all those things like that. The only thing is that she didn't get love, and so like I feel like one, she can mark abuse as out of like one out of the three subsets of one of the major forms of abuse, while Zuko can mark off like a lot
All
of
of them,
them.
yeah. Well, and then
all,
you're.
all of them except for like
I'm gonna
sexual
start.
abuse.
Well, yeah, I suppose as far as we know, but and then even the Iroh argument, which I like because I like Iroh, but you're like, all right, well, take all that other stuff and then compare it to like what couple of years of hanging out with Iroh, like a whole
Yeah.
lifetime of Azula versus a couple good years of Zuko. Not much argument there in my mind.
But yeah, someone I saw someone on Twitter kind of say that, and they're like, tell me I'm wrong, and then I listed like why she's wrong. And it was a good enough conversation. It wasn't bad or anything. So anyway, a little tangential there, but good stuff.
I mean, we got You got to get it out now because if you don't get it out now, it's gonna feel out of place later. That's not true. We'll
We'll
still
be
talk
talking
about
about
it
Legend
later.
of Korra. And
Listen, let me take you back to last series. I'm sure it'll happen.
Everyone starts really getting their all Team Avatar. They split up before this episode, and they kind of start to move into their final fights. So then there's the Agni Kai coronation. Azula is about to be crowned Fire Lord, and no one is there except for the Fire Sages. In the commentary, Brian and Mike are like, "Yeah, no one's here because Azula just banished so many people." And she also just was like, "Well, I had to keep the Fire Sages around because someone has to crown me." Yeah, so no one else is there. Which this episode hasn't been posted yet, but it's kind of interesting. Work in one of our what if videos. Something I mentioned before, of like if in our what if Aang never disappeared video before Sozin's comment, which is coming up in probably 3 or 4 weeks.
Question mark weeks coming up in question mark.
But in that, I mentioned like that Agni Kai would still happen, but Zuko would be surrounded by all of his loved ones, while Azula would be all alone. And I think that's definitely what happened, and this kind of reinforces that. And that would make Azula think about how worse she is off than Zuko. How Zuko has like earned everything, and how she has nothing left. Like her own father left her here as a consolation prize to rule over the Fire Nation, while he goes and conquers the world without her.
A very thinly veiled consolation prize.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that not everybody was there, but I picture like Fire Lord Ozai coming back in a couple of weeks, being like, "Where is everybody?" And she's like, "I got mad."
Yeah. So the Agni Kai between Azula and Zuko, it's magnificent, to say the least. I love how it is. Azula says like, "Fine, me and you, Agni Kai, for the title of Fire Lord," and Katara's like, "You sure about this?" And Zuko's like, "Yeah, something's off about her. Like, I can't pin it down, but something's off about her. I can take her. Also, you don't have to get hurt in this case," which kind of makes me mad at Katara. She put herself completely in the way.
Get out of
But
there.
that's it. Yeah.
Or at least pay better attention, like be on your guard. Like we've seen you deflect, I believe we've seen you deflect the blue lightning and stuff, haven't we? With ice? Like a sheet of ice? Katara. Sheet of water, sheet of ice? Have we seen her deflect it?
Nah.
Is it fair to say we've seen her go hand to hand with Azula, blow for blow? So, at a minimum, if you're going to stand there, maybe be ready.
Yeah.
Don't act like me on a basketball court. Pretend like you know what's happening.
Yeah.
Tremendous fight, though. It did end up like number 4 in our top moments or something like that. Great fight.
Yeah, to set it up, I love how Azula is like, "I'm sorry I had to come to this, brother." And Zuko's like, "No, you're not." And then the music in this fight is just absolutely beautiful in the sense that they just toned it down. They let all the fighting kind of create the sound noises in here. And it's just, there's so many just subtle musical cues. I think just keeps you pace. It's just that boom. And then you really just hear that fire of so amazing job like with the sound mixing and everything. Like this is upper echelon type of stuff.
It's like an opposite approach as the one they took in the what's the Fire Masters where they meet the dragons, and then they take the end music, the end episode music, and they just like ramp it up, and that's all you can hear, and it's so cool. It makes you just want to put like a subwoofer under your TV. This is almost like the opposite. Yeah. They take it out of the equation, it becomes really an accent, but something about it just kind of holds your attention. Like you're one of those where you're glued to the TV, and if somebody comes and talks to you, like your wife asks you to do something, you got to wave her off because you're glued. And I mean, you can point to the music being really good, but I think it's just a combination of everything. Good music, not a lot of dialogue, but good music, good sounds, tremendous animation, all the above.
Yeah, great direction, great voice acting. Like there's a moment here where Azula realizes like they're going toe to toe with each other, but Zuko still looks very firm, like he looks unshaken, while Azula's just like panting. And she looks behind her and she's like, "What?" She pretty much has this like, "What the heck is going on?" type of face. Like this isn't what's supposed to happen. Like I'm gonna lose, and she still tries to like dig in a little deeper, and she does this like fire jet move where she kind of skates around the place while Zuko is just fire bending, kind of big, huge pillars, columns, walls of fire at her. And then she kind of circles him, and there's the spinneroonie, the Zuko specialty move.
It's been a while since we referenced Booker T. That's a great drop in.
Yeah. Yeah, but and then the way she falls, it's just like she falls so dramatically. And then Zuko, of course, like teases her, like, "What? No lightning today? Scared I'll redirect it?" Which is great and great.
He could have cut it off at just no lightning today. Like that's one of those where just something about it. If you cut it off just there, and to me it seems like it's a little more cool. Sorry, really minute.
I think you're right. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little less is more.
Minor detail, but just like how cool would have been like
a point.
No lightning today.
A point from the scores.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now. I'm gonna dock it. No. The smallest of details. When he said "Afraid I'll redirect it," I was like, "Oh, come on, man! We got it. It's fine. Whatever." He's still learning to be a good guy. It's fine.
Yeah, if he would have delivered that line a little bit more on a cooler, like, "What? No lightning today?
No lightning today?"
Let's just.
And then you just watch her face just boil up. Oh yeah, it gets me excited just thinking about it.
Yeah. You want lightning? I'll show you lightning. And then she does the whole thing, and it goes in slow motion. You can see how her eyes is tracking. Also, like mentioned before, Katara, like, she pretty much walks. Zuko was in directly in between Katara and Azula, and then she makes herself available to get hit.
She's like, I gotta see what's going on. Get a
Yeah, I
better
gotta
angle over here.
Zuko, get out the way. I gotta see what's going on.
She's like eating her popcorn and stuff, just totally out of her zone.
Yeah. Which it sounds like we're harbored on it. It's a minor nitpick.
It is, but it's out of character for Katara, who is usually so aware and present and vigilant. You know, I wouldn't say that's like her greatest strength, but it's up there. Like, we're talking about a very, very vigilant human, especially around Azula, who she has a history with. Like
I'm almost not moving while I'm watching. Like, if I'm watching something like on TV that's really intense, I don't move around that much. I'm just like engaged, not even aware of where. Like, yeah, I'm just stationary. Maybe if they just kept her in that one spot and didn't move her near that. Maybe
and then
see the
Azula would have had to go like wanted and try to bend the lightning around Zuko.
You know, hey, maybe she learned some tricks.
Second wanted reference in 2 weeks. That's great. No, well, that's what I was trying to describe earlier. This is one of those moments where kind of, I guess maybe ironically, like, we're glued in one spot and you're waiting to see what happens, and then Katara is just back there wandering around. No, it's just a little out of character. That's all. Yeah. It's fine. We're picking nits just because we're getting deep into the weeds of this episode.
We are getting deep. Yeah. This is the greatest fight in the whole series in my book.
Maybe she's admiring Zuko. Maybe she's thinking I could ditch Aang and see what he's doing later. Like, she's just admiring his
you should listen. You should re-listen to the commentary for this episode. It's really good. So in the commentary, in the show, Azula's about to attack Katara with the lightning, and Zuko sees it, and he runs in front of it, and he grabs it, he redirects it, but he doesn't. It still get kind of stuck in his heart, so there's still a little bit of lightning in there. But you see the lightning come out the other way. And in the commentary, Brian is like, or maybe it's Mike. They're like, man, Zuko jumped in front of lightning for her, and Katara still didn't go out with them. What a jerk.
That's the ultimate friend zone of all time, right there. You know,
like
maybe if he would have nailed that one piece of dialogue, maybe that would have done it for her. But she just, you know.
No, this commentary, they say a lot about Zutara in it, because they're like, and then they go on to say, like, you know, we've never envisioned Katara and Zuko there. You're like, and that doesn't mean that they don't mean a lot to each other. They really do. But, you know, in life, you have people that come into your life, and they're there to teach you certain things about yourself, and you learn from them, but they might not be there for other certain things. And, you know, in Katara and Aang, you know, that was, you know, they mean so much to each other. Like, she was the first one he saw out of the ice. You know, she represents love for him and all of that. We just never had that thought in our head about Zutara being a thing. We didn't know it was a thing until we saw it on the internet.
I can believe that. Well, and especially beyond, you know, beyond what happens here. Like, can you imagine you see Zuko as the Fire Lord sitting on his throne, and you like this emotional attachment of like what you've all been through together? Yeah, that can still mean tremendous amount to get to each other, but they got a point though. If the lightning didn't do it for him or for her, then nothing will.
Like what? Yeah, nothing will. If jumping in front of lightning,
I got you these roses and this chocolate, and just took a lightning bolt for you. Is any of this working?
That doesn't do nothing. It officially puts you in the friend zone
forever.
No one in the Avatar can come out of the friend zone. Korra came out of the enemy zone into the friend zone into the lover zone. Korra, in fact, has surpassed Aang.
She's been in and out of a few zones. Aang was always just, you know, looking at one prize, but way to go, Korra.
There's a meme of Zuko saying, like, up top saying, like, man, I got shipped with every single character in Team Avatar, and then underneath this chorus, like, that's nothing. I actually dated every member in Team Avatar.
Solid accomplishment, really. Yeah. I would say there's very few avatars that can say that.
Maybe Kyoshi.
We'll find
Nah.
out.
Well,
I mean, there's a couple
Gion.
of
No, never
dead
mind. I don't
Team
want
Avatar members already, so I think that ship has sailed.
to. Oh gosh. Okay. So yeah. So that kind of ends that half of that fight. On the other side, we have Aang versus Ozai, and this fight is fairly, really one-sided. Still cool, but it's really interesting to listen to commentary on this one because in it they're like, if you notice, Aang is not shooting directly at Ozai anywhere. Like he's still stuck. He still doesn't know what to do. Like not only like if you notice he does that one earthbending move and he throws like this big freaking big
Cone
chunk
thing,
of
yeah.
rock yeah at Ozai, but he even throws it kind of at his feet. They're like all of Aang's attacks are like mostly at Ozai's feet. Um, and of course the lightning that Aang redirected, he did not he didn't put that at his feet. He put it all the way to the sky. And so Aang is just completely kind of outmatched here.
He's just hoping that he'll like put the fear of the Lord in him and not have to do anything.
Yeah. So this half of the fight is really interesting because it's all about Aang trying to find a different way. And when we get to the second half, that fight is more about Aang trying not to become some like spirit of vengeance, some overarching force of nature. But in the Aang versus Ozai fight, it's still really great, even when Aang is really on the defensive.
It's one of those. It's
Ozai is
like
just
maybe it's not a great fight in the traditional sense, but it's still an amazing, top 10 caliber scene. Just
yes,
not
yeah.
the normal fight that we're used to.
Yeah. And this is where I think Mark Hamill becomes way more Mark Hamill-y. Like in past episodes, I think he toned down his Joker voice a lot because you could honestly think that was just. I feel like he was speaking more with like an Asian influence in the previous ones, and here it's more like it's more diabolical, which I think is supposed to be played up like that because Farlo Ozai, he's no longer that calm demeanor Ozai that we met in episode 1 of season 3, where in flashbacks he's like, I'm going to kill everything, like like when he meets
This comic gets
when,
people
when
crazy, man.
yeah when I love when Aang gets there. Aang is like, we can stop this now, like it's up to you, and then Ozai's like, after 100 years of forefathers trying to track you down, whatever, you are here. It's truly an act of providence. Like he almost has um, I mean, he has a god complex, definitely. There's I can't think of the actual word or the phrase. Predetermined destiny,
Pre uh, Manifest Destiny.
manifest destiny. That's what I'm looking for. He kind of has this feeling to it, like I am made to rule. Like it's my destiny for all this to come together for me to kill you right here and now. Um, yeah, so he pretty much he's taking over the whole fight. Aang is on the defensive. Um,
I think you
we
still
got
always get the sense that like Aang is fine. Like I think it's clear enough that Aang like isn't at 100%. I think they do a good enough job of showing that he's not quite giving it his all, or at least not in the right head-to-head mindset, I guess.
no,
Because
I think they do show that Aang isn't trying his hardest to kill the Fire Lord, which that's the mindset you need. But I think they do show him in dire in dire straits. Like his clothes get really ragged like very quickly. The scene where he's falling like from the sky and he's getting into the water. He water bends water up to him, so it's a good catch. Like he looks like he's flailing, like he's not relaxed anywhere throughout this fight. He's always on the defensive, and then even to that point, like he runs away like a kind of like a coward, honestly, when he's running from Ozai like on the water and then straight into the into the earth, and he jumps into a little ball, and Ozai is just like just firing fire all throughout this ball. I want to say before that, like I love the moment where Aang like gets hit up against a rock and he does this really cool earth bending technique where he just like goes and he like kind of puts the earth all around him.
Goes
That's
just
really
like a
cool.
little transformer. Yeah, I dig that part.
Yeah, you can really tell he learned that from Toph.
Toss a little metal bending stunt. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, I don't really see many other earthbenders do that move. Toph does it a lot, but like even throughout Legend of Korra, I don't see
Maybe
many
it takes an
earthbenders.
extra element of like mental detail and control that Toph has a leg up on people just from that sort of seismic sense. Like, can you imagine trying to
Okay.
control everything to such fine detail? Because it's not like you're pushing the rocker like with physical strength. That's still
Yeah,
constant bending as you're moving around. So
yeah.
maybe just
Yeah.
nobody is capable.
Yeah, the thing about earthbending is that they can like they do have a minor form of magnetism. They can like magnify the palms of the fingers to like crawl up walls. I've only read this in a book, and so I feel like they have like a certain sense of being able to attract Earth to them.
Well, the think of it as like a step up from the Dai with the hands or what
Oh
have you
yeah,
too.
yeah,
So it's like, all right, well, if the average Earthbender has that kind of fine motion with sort of a false extremity, and that's the average one. Well, Toph is 5 times as good and has the ability to sense and feel and interact with it on her whole person,
yeah.
and it's metal, so it's
Um,
sick. This is a different
yeah.
episode. Though. Different episode.
I think it's in the
Oh no,
it's
you're
in this one.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So so Aang is in the ball, and Ozai he has this thing they kind of call the seed of fire, where just like it sears and then it kind of explodes, and you can hear that in the sound mixing. Which, like I said, amazing job by the sound mixing people because Brian was like, "Yeah, I want instead of creating in these episodes, instead of creating just like that one noise of fire you always use, just like whoosh, like I want you to create different sounds for all the different fire. Like a wall of fire should sound different than a fire thing. Like the seed of fire needs to sound different than everything. But yeah, so seed of fire and like this little bomb really that he has, and he explodes the rock, and at that point, Aang's back hits this pokey rock, and his chakra, which was like blocked up before, is kind of all unleashed at that point. And they describe it in the commentary as like it's two things. There's chakra kind of stuck in there, but also Aang is mentally blocked as well because he's just dealing with should he be the Avatar or not. So it's kind of two blockages here. I don't think they really explored in the show that Aang has a mental block. I think they could have done a lot more to reinforce a lot of things they talked about in the commentary here. And still amazing job. I just think it could have been even slightly more amazing.
We're already 4 episodes in, Chris. Man, come on.
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking, like, even when we're talking about all the extra detail and things, you take it out and you just watch it like a movie.
Yeah. And then, so that's pretty much this episode for the Aang and Ozai fight. So then you move on to Toph, Sokka, and Suki, and I feel like there's not that much to talk about here.
I forget where each thing splits, so I don't know how much of when we get on the airship here. But one way or another, we will get to it. I think we'll cover it all in one spot or the other because I don't remember how much goes on in which part.
I really feel like most of their stuff happened in this episode, Into the Inferno. So Sokka, Suki, and Toph get on the airships, and pretty much they just take them over one by one. I love the scene with Toph and how she knocks on the door and just dun 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 dun, and then she it's such an amazing scene.
See,
she
that I was
over
thinking
the
it was in
door.
the next episode, but I think you're right. I think that's here.
Yeah, she knocks over the door, immediately wraps the metal around her, like earth bends metal metal bends this like pipe and takes out this one guy, and then like crawls up the wall and starts walking.
And a part of you is like,
And
that's
then
kind of cute in sort of a comedy exorcist sort of way.
yeah, exactly. They said they really use a lot of Sifu Manny, I think is his name. The one who Sifu Kisu did all the other bending forms, but Sifu Manny did the one specifically for Toph, the praying mantis
The
form of
heavier
it.
guy that doesn't look like he would be a martial artist, but I'm sure would
Yeah,
like snap our necks while we weren't looking.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, that scene is so great, and then Toph and the saga says, "Good job, Toph. Take the wheel." And then Toph says, "Yeah, let the blind girl drive the airship," which is comedy gold for Toph.
How does she know that Sokka wasn't joking? I mean, he wasn't, but come on,
No, the
Toph
thing
cuts
is,
his slack.
okay, in Toph's defense, Sokka, that's a very run-on sentence. Like, there's no pause there. Great job, Toph. Take the wheel. That's it went right into each other, and so I get Toph saying that.
Fair, fair point. That because Sokka doesn't see her. I don't want to call it a disability, but I suppose he doesn't see that. He just sees a person. Good for you, Sokka, but probably still a bad idea in general.
Yeah. So Suki takes the wheel. Also, again, I just want to call out the beautiful animation here. Like this, the way that all of their clothes and their hair flow, like it's a very small detail, but it just really shows like how high up they are, how windy things are. It just adds the cinematic sense to these episodes.
And then I think we've talked about it previously. Well, we definitely have. This is the top or number 4 moment or whatever? Is that this episode or the next one?
No, I really believe that's the next one, the number
That's the
three
next one.
moment in our list.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so I'll hold on
yeah,
that
because
one. But
mostly,
this
yeah,
one,
mostly
they
this one they
get
take
most of them
over.
taken over, and maybe not to the
Yeah,
point where they use the one to knock out the other ones, or is that included where they use the one airship to destroy everything else? I think that's next one. I think that leads right up
okay,
to our moment.
yeah, you might be right. We'll just say it does. Um,
It'll work.
yes, and then on the other side of it, so other fight going on. There's the White Lotus and taking out Ba Sing Se, which is I just love their prep before going into Ba Sing Se. Like all of White Lotus is there. The main four that we care about. Everyone else is nameless, but like they all just have a time to shine. I think first, um, who goes off first? I think it's Piandao. Says no, it is Boomy because says Ba Sing Se, the Order of White Lotus is here. And then I think it's Piandao that says here to set you free. And Iroh, man, love this scene. Iroh goes, only once in 100 years can a fire bending feel power like this. And just his breathing, just like you see the fire emanating and all
And
around.
such an
Like
emotional moment
so
for Iroh too. Such
yeah.
such an emotion. You feel
It's
so
funny
good
because
for the guy because it's gonna work.
yeah, it's funny because the whole Iroh has always talked about fire bending beginning in the breath and how you keep your breath of fire, and this just circles back to all of that. Like, he's been saying that since episode 1, I think, when he's training Zuko, and it ends with this one. Ooh, that's another meme. I need to write down all these memes. I should put or what? Yeah,
Well,
and then
a
he
Saturday when you're in the hospital, you got some spare time. Get your
make
phone
some
out.
memes. I'll probably be watching. I don't know what I'll be watching. I gotta figure that out. I think I'll be watching Tom Clancy. Yeah, with Jim from The Office. That's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I finished
That guy's
Seven Deadly Sins. By the way, it's okay. It's pretty solid. I think you'll like it. You won't love it, but
okay.
I think you'll like it.
I needed something new to watch that I think that I want to fall in love with. I've been thinking about that to myself. I'm like, I need something else to fall in love with that's on right now.
It's Harley Quinn for me. I've eaten that show
Um,
up from beginning to end.
oh yeah, like I kind of want to start the 100. I hear that's good, and then there's just a lot of stuff that I just feel like the only things right now that are currently on that I just stand like 100%. My Hero, Academia, and I'm not sure exactly what else there is. That I'm just like just want more and more of. Um, maybe Demon Slayer. Yeah, Demon Slayer is a good one.
Interesting.
But I'm almost tempted to just start rewatching a bunch of older anime that I love, like Yu Yu Hakusho. Want to rewatch some Gundam Wing. But man, we're getting off tangent here. It wasn't even a smooth tangent. It was just like
nah, but it's
here
not
are
a bad
shows that I'm
tangent.
watching.
It's not bad. It's better. My wife and I have been watching River Monsters with Jeremy Wade, so I think we could all use another TV show to fall in love with. But to be fair, we're almost to the end of this episode. At least I don't even the White Lotus bossing say scene is too short, but it doesn't get enough attention for how exciting that like we got 3 or 4 of our favorite characters in one spot here, and it should just be a wicked lot of fun. But it's just over like that, unfortunately, relative at least to the other stuff.
So Iroh throws this huge freaking fireball, just breaking down the walls of Ba Sing Se. Then I love how Boomy Earth is. He's kind of just like he drops low to the earth, and he's bending all the. I don't know if he's bending those 3 pillars, those 3 like platforms of rock, or if there's other earthbenders. Could just be other earthbenders.
I read it as him doing it. I don't know. I believed him.
I think so because it was very in unison. And then how Paku was holding his own. Piandao is doing his own thing. Just, I think we got a real good chance. We got a real good opportunity to see 4 complete masters at their skills, just working together in some really good unison, but also separately. Someone recommended we do a video of the White Lotus versus the Red Lotus, and I absolutely want to do that video someday.
Okay. I mean, I feel like I already got my answer, but okay. No, I need to brush up, but I think it sounds like an interesting episode for sure.
Yeah. We might need a guess on that one. I'm not sure. I got a couple people maybe in mind, but
we're
just
a little ways away from that though, right? Like we got for me to get to that part, we got a little to go.
I think you could use some more brushing up on it. So it might be until like Korra book 3.
Just 30 episodes away from now. Just 30 weeks. 30. Just 2021. That's all.
Yeah, we'll get a trailer for Avatar: The Legend of Aang Netflix by then.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the White Lotus.
Yeah.
In that episode.
I think that's good enough. And anything we forgot, we can certainly pick up in the next section. So, or in the next episode, which I do like the name of this episode. It's just called Avatar Aang. So as soon as you see the name of the episode, like you know what's about to go down here.
This is poetry here. Honestly, the title episode 1, book 1, is just the boy in the iceberg. That's the title of the episode. Here is Avatar Aang. There's a big difference between the boy in the iceberg and Avatar Aang. Like a lot of stuff has happened.
In the way that the previous episode, The End of the Inferno, the way that the things, it's not like everything was quite tied up perfectly, but you can see everything coming together, coming to this exact point that makes this the perfect title, perfect episode, perfect picture. Love that picture. It's a great picture. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so it was this. Yeah, it's this episode that Ozai does the Seed of Fire and fire bends that rock open essentially, and then Aang hits the Pokey Rock, and all his past lives come back to his past lives are already there, but his avatar state he's reconnected to his avatar state.
It's like he had his memory jogged, except for it's like having your chakras jogged.
Yeah, oh, gosh, it's poetic justice when Ozai comes like, "Come out, little boy," and then just grabs a beard.
Oh, it's amazing.
And like I love the way he stands up. Like he stands up in such a matter of fact way, and then Ozai tries to like firebend at him, and Aang is just looking at him, just like I thought that was you trying to trying to mimic Aang's airbending.
Nope,
Your dog's
just
that
an
dog.
angry dog. That's all.
It's like I didn't know you can make those sounds, Shawn.
We usually do this on a Friday, so like we stay up later and my wife stays up later, but now it's his bedtime. That's why we usually don't get disturbed, but now he has to go outside and bark at squirrels before bed. So we threw his game
Yeah.
off, that's all.
Um, I must admit that my dogs need to be allowed out. Anyway, and Aang airbends the fire, or maybe he deflects it. And I love how the shot is. And from this point on, this is just rage mode Aang here, which it's not even Aang. It's just the Avatar state took over his body. I feel like literally every single Avatar was like, Aang, we got this, buddy. We're taking over. Well,
You talk a lot about the hair, though, but we got to go back to the beard. Just it's funny to me to think about because I didn't think about it before. But the way Avatar uses hair, and then so we got like a bald kid grabbing a big bad, like the big baddie's beard. And there's kind of some poetry involved in that as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So at this point, the fight has changed dramatically. Ozai's now on the run. We're pretty much just the wrath of all the avatars of everything good in the world, and so much like he gets into the ball form, with all the four elements around him, which is just a beautiful, beautiful image. Like it's hard to top it. Like sometimes in my Legend of Korra versus Aang videos, a lot of people bring up like, man, Aang's avatar states were way more powerful. And I'll be like, yeah, I mean they were, but also he wasn't in control of them. Like, and he's not. And some of them say, oh, he's in control in this fight, and I don't have to argue. It's facts that he's not in control in this fight. Like this is the wrath of the Avatar. Even the creators in the commentary are like, yeah, Aang's not in control. He's not in control of this until he stops it himself. But I will agree with them that for the most part, Aang's Avatar states look more impressive than Korra's. But I think some of that is just thematic way and our perspective. And also, yeah, again, he's not in control of these Avatar states.
We probably don't get as much good visual imagery out of Korra's, no. And I'm probably the wrong person to speak on that, but probably not as visually impressive.
The thing is that in book one, she doesn't use the Avatar state all that often because she doesn't know how to use the Avatar state. She's also has never been there's never been a life-threatening situation with her because Amon was smart enough not to try to kill the Avatar because he knows from his own father that if you try to do that, the Avatar goes into the Avatar state. And then in book two, I think she had some great moments in the Avatar state versus her uncle. To me, although those still aren't as great here, and also she doesn't use the Avatar state to win the day. And then after that, I feel like end of book 3 Korra used Avatar state to great effect. And then after that, she matured. She mastered the Avatar state, so she didn't use it reactionary wise. And so to me, they just never looked as amazing. Like if I did a video over who had the most cool looking or the best feats in the Avatar state, no, they had the most cool looking Avatar state, I would definitely put Aang's above it because I have way more cooler moments of Aang in the Avatar state than Korra. But that's story-wise what they went for. As for who's stronger in the Avatar state, to me it's clear who's stronger based off of lore, and I can also base it off of other things. But feel free to disagree with me on that stuff.
You'd honestly maybe have to pick a spot within each series even to discuss, like, instead of just this person versus that person, it's like an age 28 Kobe versus age 28 MJ or something like that. Like, you gotta give me more details, I guess, before I'm willing to state my case there.
Yeah. Well, Shawn, you could watch my video on Korra versus Aang.
I think that Korra in the various states that we see her throughout the series, like, we're talking about a big chunk of the series where she's missing certain bending elements, big chunks of the series where she is physically physically like incapacitated. But then there's also parts where Aang, almost died. So I don't know. They both grow and progress a lot through their series.
Yeah.
So I'd have to pick a spot, I think, for each.
Which that's what I do, Shawn. Anyway, not bored.
It's Avatar stuff. It is important.
Yeah. So as the creator said in the commentary, this fight is all about just Aang not wanting to be this like high spirit on top of the hill, just smiting people left and right. I kind of wish they had done a better job. Which they did a good job. They set this up really well. I think part of me wants them to just hit the nail over the head of like Aang feels like the world needs something different. Aang feels like the world doesn't need power to rule the day, but they needs mercy to rule the day. And he never says that. It's not even that. It's not even told, I think, that subtly, but that's what they were trying to get across.
It feels like more of a personal choice from Aang than a big picture decision. Like, yes, I agree with you in the sense that if that's a message they were trying to send, it probably deserved a little more like beating over the head.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's that fight. That part of that fight so far, Aang just wrecking shop. Are there any like specific moments for you before you get to the finale of it that he's about to like smite Ozai? Was there any like specific?
Ozai's still talking trash up to that point. I don't remember what he says exactly, but doesn't he? Or maybe right before the end, still says something about, but you still can't kill me or something. Maybe more so than the individual fights.
Yeah, that comes after Aang takes control of the Avatar state.
Yeah. So. But I guess more than an individual piece of the fight, that's the part that sticks with me is he's like just talking trash right up to the end, which is good because we still don't know either. Like he has no idea, and we're not sure what Aang's gonna do. So in a weird way, his trash talking resembles our questions.
Yeah. I think my favorite technique that Aang does, kind of besides the whole 4 elements thing wrapping around him, is like. He makes these bullets of earth, and they like shoot through pretty much like huge pillars and knocks them down. That was just really impressive. And again, the sound design, just that, it's really cool.
It's very, very creative use of his past Avatar's experiences. Like you want to know, like which one of you is thinking of that? That's got to be a Kyoshi thing, right?
Yeah,
it's definitely her. She'd shoot somebody. Yeah, sure.
What if what would be really cool that they could have done?
She learned it from what's his name when he like came back from the spirit world and put his hands on either side. Man, I'm forgetting all their names. Oh goodness! But he like sends a little rock bullet through him to kill him at the very end of the book.
Yeah. But don't spoil the book.
It's a good thing I don't remember names. Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Maybe that's where she learned it. She's like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Or, I mean, it's spoiler alert for a book that's a year old, I guess. But
I don't know how much of a spoiler it is if you don't remember any names whatsoever.
Yeah. That person got killed. Okay.
Person got killed, and there was a bullet kind of used. It was cool.
You know what they could have done? That would have been like full what fans would do, because fans think of like the most dramatic non-story element things to do, which I'm guilty. I'm 100% guilty of this. It's like if all the past avatars, the way Kyoshi took over Aang's body that one time, if like each one took over in a certain time period, like one time it would just be Kyoshi doing, like Kyoshi doing the earth bullet thing, Roku doing the. I don't think Aang did that many moves with fire. But does something with fire. Korra does the water thing that takes out like the 3 fire blasts that Ozai tries to send at him, and Yang Chen doing airbending moves.
Cuts his head off with airbending. Oh shit! I forgot. Aang, I'm so sorry.
We're supposed to wait to deliver the final blow. You wanted.
Whose turn was it? Nameless Firebender? Yeah, no, I'm gonna go ahead and.
Yeah.
That would have been cool
Hey,
though
I
to
got this.
have the visage of each one kind of get a moment
Yeah.
in the
I mean, I
limelight.
guess,
But
like I said, I don't want this over that. I'm just saying it would have been kind of interesting. And also, we got them in the previous
yeah,
episode,
let's
so
call
that
it an
was
interesting idea at a bare minimum. We can do that.
yes, yeah. It's very, I think, fan servicey. Don't you want to see
I'm a
all your
fan. I dig it.
avatars? And, yeah. um, okay, so other fights. White Lotus, pretty short again, like we said before. I do love seeing
Not
John
enough
Jong.
attention. I wish there was more to it, but I get it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
As mentioned before, I do love seeing John Jong just fire pillars, just pushing tanks back and back, and he's just like floating in the air. So dope. And then Boomy takes out a bunch of tanks himself, right? And he's not even amplified by anything. He's just Boomy. And then we end with Iroh, and they mentioned in the commentary like, sure, we could have shown Iroh really just kind of destroying stuff, but that wasn't his story. His story was burning the Fire Nation flag that's hung over the Earth Kingdom flag, and that's and to me that brings his story arc full circle as far as we know until we see more of him in Legend of Korra.
It is a really nice symbolic moment. Like, he's not there to destroy a city. He's there to take it over, but ironically not as a Fire Nation soldier. So,
Would you? So I was thinking about this because they don't really have, because there's like four. There's four battles. Are there 5 battles going on right now? So there's the Aang versus Ozai, the Agni Kai happening, the airship, and the White Lotus. Only one of those 4 are actually, I feel like, a fight with personal stakes because it's Zuko versus Azula. The rest of them, I feel like it's more nameless or more ideals, fighting ideals of things.
but even then, you could argue. I mean, Zuko probably at this stage in his development, he probably wouldn't fight unless he had to. Like, even there, it's kind of a political thing. Like, I got to be Azula, and be the so. Could maybe make a case that all 4 of them are kind of greater idealism.
Yeah. But I was thinking, like, all right, how would the White Lotus fight be more personal? I was thinking, like, oh, you can have fighting soldiers and Dai Li soldiers, because there's still a bunch of Dai Li agents there. Azula only took like a dozen or so. There's still hundreds of them at the capital, so wouldn't they be fighting against the Fire Nation? It would be pretty poetic if Iroh is fighting against Dai Li, like a swarm of Dai Li agents, and it's a reversal of his siege and Ba Sing Se. Like, now he's here fighting Earth Kingdom soldiers to free the Earth Kingdom, while before he would be fighting Earth Kingdom soldiers to take over them. I mean, there's enough poetic justice going on, poetic symmetry and stuff going on here that you probably don't need that, but it will just make this fight feel a little more personal. It's not needed. Again, we'll chop that up in the interesting ideas column.
I like that a lot. I like the idea. Just a reminder that the Dai Li are still around. They're kind of overlooked here, but again, we're talking such a small portion of the larger episode that, like, hey, maybe if they had more time, it could have even been on the slate.
Yeah. So that ends. Really great end to Iroh's story there.
They take out a small Fire Nation, like armada or group, if you will, and then Iroh burns the flag, and then you're welcome, and that's bad.
Yeah. Next up, Katara is trying to heal Zuko, and because Zuko is not feeling good, he didn't redirect all of the lightning, so he's still kind of about to die. And I love this fight a lot, because this fight, I think you really don't know what's going to happen. Azula
they could die. They could be the expendable characters in all this.
Yeah, Azula, her firebending was already great, but now it's tenfold, and Katara only has waterbending. this should be an easy fight, and great character stuff with Azula here. Great voice acting by Grey Delisle. She's like, I think our family physician should look after Zuko, and then it just feeds into that whole family dynamic of it all. And eventually, Katara. Oh, one moment that I really love that Azula does. She's like laying sort of on a roof, and the way she bends the lightning is just so freaking natural. So natural, but so unhinged, and you can just tell just how far down this path Azula's going. Oh, and
it feels very off the cuff, like she's inventing new moves as she goes, and not in the way that that's a bad thing, but reckless, I suppose.
Yeah, and the freaking way that she laughs when she's like chasing after Katara, she's like, like she's freaking lost it.
And that's such a beautiful. That's like present in all of Grey Delisle's voice acting. Is a manic.
Yeah.
There's always some kind of manic, insane laugh in there.
Yeah,
that's probably like half her pitch. So like, all right, evil bad girl. She's like, this is easy.
Like, do you want me? She's like, you want me to do this in my sleep or what?
Can I just send you the tape? Is that how this goes?
Yeah, just cut and paste Fairly Odd Parents into this moment here.
That's a very similar laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, so then the fight ends with Katara like seeing the little moat thing, and she pretty much, I love how she sets it up. Right? It's kind of like you're a puncher, right? You throw a left just so you can set up the right. Right? She water bends like all the streams at Azula, and then she puts herself right underneath the moat, and right as Azula is about to lightning bend at her face, she puts up an ice wall encapsulating both of them. It's so beautiful, and then she steams herself and walks around and chains up Azula, and yeah, great. Katara is 2 for 2 against Azula, like even full-fledged crazy Azula.
Just proof that when she's paying attention, she's maybe the most capable waterbender on Earth when she's watching.
Yeah.
Or when she's not watching too close. You know what I mean.
I mean, in her defense, right? Azula has shown before to be cunning, yes, but also to be like above,
a step ahead always of the fight, kind of.
Yeah, and also, I mean, she thought that the fight was contained to just them two. So yeah, it's a minor gripe. But man, this ending here is so fantastic. It's, she heals Zuko. I'm still laughing because of the commentary from Mike and Brian, because I would say they're not anti-Zutara, but they don't. They shipped it. They would have shipped it.
They didn't do it. It's not canon. So
Yeah,
they could even be quote unquote pro, but like that wasn't the intention. It wasn't what was done.
Yeah.
They're just happy people are engaged. They probably don't.
Yeah.
Actually, I would like to chip in real quick too about the fire and water thing, though. It kind of makes me think a lot of Pokemon, that like Azula, even at like max power, but it's like, all right, we get the disadvantage when you get the bad paper scissors rock thing, and your Squirtle comes up on that Charizard. Like, I'm still taking the Squirtle. That's all it could make me think of, is like she's still not playing the strategy card right, but that's the unhinged part. Just assuming that the extra power is going to be what she needs to get back at Katara this time.
Yeah. The amazing moment is after Katara heals Zuko. When they say thank you, whatever, and Mike and Brian. Sorry, I'm not getting to the amazing part yet. Anyway, Mike and Brian mentioned commentary like, yeah, this is kind of the finale of their story here, right? Katara heals Zuko, and then Zuko says, "Thank you, Katara," and Katara says, "I should be the one thanking you." Like, that's kind of the finale of their story. They don't have any more growth together kind of after that.
That's a good spot to end on, though. Hits you right in the feels.
Yeah. And the way they get up, like the way they look at Azula is just like crying, right? None of she, and the way she's breathing fire, just and then like you see the water besides her dissipate or get
dissipate
and everything because she's breathing fire on it. So good. Like, we mentioned Game of Thrones before and how Avatar showed you how to take a sane conqueror and turn them crazy by the end of it. Like how Game of Thrones didn't do that with another dragon-esque character. But
this is now, to be fair, this only had to do 3 seasons. Trying to get it out over 8 seasons or whatever. I'm sure has its hurdles, but this is definitely the more this is definitely the more satisfying, insane Supreme Overlord.
The thing is, they did it.
Loop.
To me, they did it in the same amount of time, right? It was episode 14 or episode 15. Azula was perfectly fine. She was Azula, and now we're in episode 21. Now, well, I mean, she's fell down from that point, and they did it beautifully. While in Game of Thrones, I mean, they built in that Daenerys can be vengeful. She doesn't mind killing people all the time, but she was still always like fair until they probably had the same amount of time.
Tried to be fair.
It was probably. I mean, when she killed the Tarleys, to me, I was probably fine with her killing Tarleys. Like, she killed the men of Marine, slavers of Marine. Mm-hmm. She gave them a chance. She tried diplomacy. They didn't go with it, so she killed them. Whatever, that's fair. The Tarleys wouldn't bend the knee to her. Well, what do you do? That's fair. And
she's up on the dragon. She's like, my hands are tied. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's fair within the rules of that universe.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. But here, she's like, oh, the bells have rung. They're surrendering. I'm gonna kill them. That's not fair. And there's no good transition into that. While Azula has a really great transition into madness.
That is totally fair. I'm going to use this opportunity to sing a general praise of Avatar, as opposed to like every other show ever. With Avatar, you get the whole framework of the lore really, really early. But some of those other shows, and I'm using Game of Thrones as a scapegoat here, one thing that I didn't like is like their creators' willingness to just, and maybe it's George Martin's fault, the willingness just to like create brand new big groups of extremely OP people that we didn't hear about until the time when it was convenient. But that's not just Game of Thrones. That's you could name off 100 shows, I'm sure, with your experience, if you thought about it that way. It's like, oh yeah, they just did it when it was ready or when the time. It's like, no, Avatar, you know what the stakes and the framework are when you go in. It's like, we got 4 nations, and this is who they are, and this is what's at stake, and we get to explore them all really early in the show, for at least to some extent. So that's probably another thing Avatar does better than almost any television show out there.
Yeah, really good point. Yeah, so like Katara and Zuko, they don't have this very hurrah, yay, we won the day type of deal. They have the like, oh man, Azula's not good. Like, we're sorry for you. Like, this is how it had to end. It's a really great finale there between Zuko and his sister Azula. All right, so getting back to the Aang versus Ozai fight. Aang is just annihilating Ozai, and it finally gets to that point of I love this moment. Like, all the avatars are channeling through Aang. Fire Lord Ozai, you and your forefathers have disturbed the balance of this world for far too long. Now you must pay the ultimate price. like, if you think that's Aang talking there, I don't see how you do think that's Aang. To me, that's not something Aang would say.
It's not his
That's something,
language.
yeah, that is something that's like the average thing, the thing the average avatar would say. If you had to put a consensus out there of all the avatars, they're like, oh, you know what? Should we say this? Should we say this? Yeah, this here. Like
Let's
they
be
almost
honest.
feel like
Even
this.
even Roku, even Roku wouldn't say that's probably like Yang Chen leaning into Kyoshi's ear, and she's like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And Kyoshi's like, "Oh, I like that." And then they're like, "All right, let's go with this." Everyone else will jump in
Yeah,
when they hear how cool it is.
let's bring up their past offenses and then tell them their punishment for it.
And then no, that's too strong. That's too strong.
Yeah.
No, I but no, I agree. That's definitely not Aang's language or even his like tone or dynamic voice mechanisms or anything. That's straight up past avatars.
Yeah. And I do. All right. So when you first watched this, were you like, yes, kill the Fire Lord, or
Oh yeah, and I thought he was. I always thought that since Yang Chen said it was okay, that's kind of what was gonna sort of turn the tide. And so I don't know if I thought it was gonna happen, but I wanted it to. I was like, Yang Chen said it was cool, and she's not, because I didn't even respect Yang Chen the way that we do now. Like we hadn't had those conversations back then.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it's like that's another Airbender saying it's the right thing to do, and I didn't even have a full understanding of Yang Chen, but I remember thinking it seems like the right thing to do in Aang's balance. So I won't say thought it was going to happen, but I'd say wanted it to happen for sure.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I was perfectly fine with Aang about to kill the Fire Lord, whether he's in control of the Avatar State or not. I don't know what would happen. Maybe that's a conversation for another day. Like, what if Aang did kill Fire Lord Ozai? What if he wasn't able to stop? Yeah, what if he wasn't able to control the Avatar State? But here he is, and one small note: he does the same move where it's like a strike, like back in episode 1 of book two, the Avatar State. Like he's having these visions of him being this mega powerful Avatar smiting people, right? He does the same move when he's like imagining him being Koizilla, the ocean spirit. And he does the same move here, where it's kind of this like it's a kung fu move or whatever move. I don't know. Kung fu.
A water slash of some type.
Yeah, it's some type. It's a very smite motion. And like I said before, they talked about how this fight is about Aang not wanting to become that Avatar spirit of vengeance, just laying waste to people, just smiting people left and right. And Aang stops it. He says, "No, not like this."
The what if Aang had killed him episode is gonna amount to like he kills him and then just lives in like regretful depression for the rest of his life, and it ruins his relationship and his marriage, and he's just like a fat middle-aged guy sitting in his basement eating Doritos. Like, what if
Katara leaves him for now the more for Zuko.
He's just like, what if I had killed him, man? Okay, sorry.
Zuko's reaping all the benefits. Yes, I got the Avatar to kill my father. I'm now on the throne, and I have Katara.
Deep down inside, he's secretly still evil. Okay, this is
all been a plan all along.
Oh my god, this is brilliant. That's definitely one of those filler what if episodes of the future. Then for sure, I'll draw some Aang imagery. Sort of a side note, but is important. I can hear a storm rolling in pretty heavy, and so like if everything goes blank and goes crazy, I will turn my computer back on if my room's not fried up to pieces, and I'll call you back. But just a heads up, if I disappear, that's why.
Okay. So Aang says, "No, not like this," and Ozai says, "Even with all the power in the world, you are still weak," and which is great. Great voice acting by Mark Hamill there.
And probably my
And
favorite, as we alluded to earlier, like he's lost and he's still talking shit.
yeah, like like I'm pretty sure he could still beat you up right now, Ozai. Like he's
Like
and he can
he
still
might
go
not
back.
kill you, but he can like just beat you half to death
Yeah.
for sure. You know?
Um. And one thing, and so Aang does a really cool move where he senses him with the seismic sense, which is great, and then he kicks up the one triangle pillar of Earth, comes around him. Ozai tries to firebend him. He takes his arm on that one and gets him. And then he just lowers him down. I love how he lowers him down to his level, and then he does the the energy bending, and really interesting. So in the commentary, they talked about how Aang could have killed the Fire Lord by energy bending him, which for some reason I never caught before in all my times of watching and listening to the commentary. But like, yeah, he just chose to take his bending from him, but he could have killed him if he wanted to.
It's a defibrillator. He could have turned it up a little too hot, and
Yeah.
there's a really cool. They don't dwell on it too long, but I kind of like the really cool dichotomy of. I forget how they word it. Something about like you got to be pure of heart and have the right reasons to want to do it, or it'll consume you as well. So there's still like an element of unknown and danger, and they show the really
Yes.
cool back and forth of. I think I just said back and forth of blue and red, going head to head, and it looks like it's about to overtake Aang. So it's neat that there's still kind of an element of uncertainty for a few seconds at least.
Yeah, and then they flash back real quickly back to Lion Turtle, and he says the great thing about like in the era before the Avatar, we've been not the elements, but the energy within ourselves. And he goes on to say like, I always don't remember it. I always grab it from somewhere, have it in the Korra book, and we've mentioned before. Anyway, darkness yields to light, stuff like that, and how you have to be truly incorruptible to bend another person's energy.
Yeah, I said pure of heart, but I think it's truly incorruptible, and then
Yeah,
darkness,
to me that seemed like you don't even have to be pure of heart. It's just like you just got to be incorruptible.
So I went way too Disney with that for a second, and then it's like I think it's darkness always yields to light. Like there's more to it, but I think that's like the punchline there at the end is darkness always yields to light.
Yeah, great. It's a great quote.
When a lion turtle tells you listen.
My book here to read it, but
we said it in the previous episode anyway.
We did. Yeah.
So just go back and listen to that 2-hour episode to get to the 5-second quote. Tell us what you think.
Exactly. Yeah. So then Aang takes away his bending, and he gets up. And he's like, "Oh, what did you do to me?" And he's like, "I took away your bending." Pretty much, you're like you're no longer threatening anyone. And the music comes in. It's so good. Jeremy Zuckerman just knocked out of the park in this episode specifically. I mean, not the park all the time, really.
For this time when I watched it, I felt my cheeks at this part like get oddly flushed with I guess in a feeling that I could only describe as pride. Like I was proud of Aang, and then I'm like I'm proud of a cartoon character right now. But just like a weird flushed cheek, rosy cheeks feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is the moment when Aang truly becomes like the Avatar. You know, he's able to lock into. He's able to one thing stop the Avatar state. Before that, Katara was the only thing that ever stopped the Avatar state. And now he's become a fully realized Avatar, and there's still like a bunch of stuff burning around him. And you see him, like, see it all burns, and then he goes to the Avatar state. And you can tell he mastered it this time because his eyes just glow for a second. You know, Mike and Brian said before that the Avatar state is really only as strong as it ever needs to be. And, you know, you just get the energy you need, and then you got it, and then you come out of the Avatar state, and then you use it. While before, Aang is always just stuck in the Avatar state. And then he does this one gentle motion to raise all the sea waters and take out the fires, and then he takes them back down. And
we're
then,
in the middle. Yeah, this whole fight taking place kind of in the middle of raised or being raised Earth Kingdom. I guess it's not actively being raised, but still all those fires going on.
yeah,
I really like those Earth pillars wherever that fight scene takes place. If they had a name for it, I didn't catch it, but
yeah, those mirror those Earth pillars kind of mirror the opening. You know, when Aang is on like the rocks and stuff. It's like dum, 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 dum.
in that one episode that we hate, the serpents or not the serpents pass,
The Great Divide.
that one's got some weird Earth pillars in it. Nah, I'm just trying to think of an excuse to talk
yeah.
about that episode.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of the climax.
We should have named our podcast The Great Divide, and maybe it will just be about like us.
That's the smartest thing I've ever heard.
But
That's the most intelligent thing that has ever been stated on this podcast. And to be fair, the mere fact that, like, we have pretty different opinions a lot of the time. Not most of the time, but a lot of the time. It doesn't hurt that you're black and I'm white. There's a lot of places we could have gone with naming schemes. The Great Divide, that's powerful.
I have to look up what originally ideas you wanted to name it. And I think I came up with Avatar: The Last Podcasters.
Yeah,
but,
I wasn't a huge fan of anything I had come up with, but I am a huge fan of the brainstorming process in general. So I like to throw out all manner of crap and see what sticks. But the last, God, we'll just change it. It's no big deal. Whatever. I mean,
welcome. This is an episode of The Great Divide.
The only thing that like will actively get mad at you for changing it is Facebook page will think that you've like used one name to attract a bunch of people, and then you change names and topics and try to sell people stuff or something. But like everything else, we could change it. The great. I'm gonna lose sleep over that. Whatever. Different podcast for a different day, I guess.
Screw it.
Anyway, climax happened. Now we're on to like peaceful, happy aftermath.
Epilogue stuff. Yeah,
and I think we're in Ba Sing Se first. I think we're back in the tea shop first.
No, we end there. We go to the Fire Nation Royal Palace, right? Like the next scene is pretty much Zuko. Toph, Sokka, and Suki meet with. We didn't even talk about we didn't talk about the airship armada.
We didn't. We went Avatar State, and we were so psyched for Aang. Okay, let's plug. We got to plug that because it had a top 10 moment. So
yes,
during the other fights, during the 4 fights that are going on, is when they Suki and I'm screwed up. Suki, Toph, and Sokka are on one airship that they have overtaken. They look down the row. They essentially see a string of, what is there, like 9 other airships? 10 other airships? Something like that. And so I forget the order in which it happens. But at some point, Suki goes off to take control of that airship. And then Toph and Sokka get into that really cool, like corny action movie sequence where they're fighting off all the firebenders. And now they're like literally hanging off like a wing on one of these airships and about to fall off. And they're hanging on to each other. And then I forget the sequence of what happens, so you'll have to chime in here. But
yeah, so there's like all these Fire Nation guards. There's 2 Fire Nation guards inside of them about to firebend at them. Sokka takes out his boomerang, takes one out, and then takes a sword and he cuts the freaking thing with his sword, and his space sword goes and gets lost. And then all these Fire Nation soldiers surround them, essentially, and they're all ready to firebend at him. And Toph is dangling from Sokka's hand, like just by the finger grips. And you can imagine how freaking hurtful this is on Sokka. Because one thing, he has like a broken leg, and also he just landed like back first about 2 stories.
Yeah, they dropped from the airship that Suki was on to the airship below them to get onto a different airship. I think of that right?
No. They were together with Suki on an airship. That airship crashed into another one. It broke. Suki went off, and then they were on top of an airship. Firebending soldiers about to get him. Sokka then grabs Toph, and he goes down the airship. He takes his sword into the side of it, and he's falling with his sword still in hand. But his sword is like in the airship, going through the airship as he falls. And then that's when they fall onto the pillar thing, and then his sword gets like stuck, lodged in there, and that's when he kicks up his sword. He throws a boomerang, he grabs his sword up in the air, then throws at the other side, and that's when the other Fire Nation soldiers come and are ready to firebend at them. And this moment's so great because you have two very comedic characters who are not making this funny at all. They're very serious. They're like, Toph's like, Sokka's pretty much like, I think this is the end, Toph. Like, that moment gets to me all the time because these are two very comedic characters who are like, we did what we were supposed to do.
For once, comedy is not the answer to your questions here.
Yeah, like we're about to die, but for some reason I get the sense of like we're about to die, but I wouldn't be happier dying with anyone else than with you and doing what we're doing. Oh gosh, that sounds very talk, but nothing gets talk offense. That's fine.
Welcome to the podcast where we talk shit on other people's.
no. And then
new podcast named Talking Ship.
Ooh, yeah. Gosh, coming up with good podcast names left and right. Then, and Toph is crying, like she feels like they both feel like they're about to die, and then out of nowhere Suki comes in and saves them. And that's essentially the end of their story. Yeah, because I think that was like that last airship that needed to be taken out.
Because that's at the end of her rampage where she takes the one airship like through the other 9, or what have you.
No, together they take it through the other 9 because Toph bends like the rudders in one, and then she gets trapped on another one. She just happens to grab one that they didn't completely take out.
And then that's where they're hanging out right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's a messy sequence that I'm not doing justice, but in general is one of the cooler. Even in this episode, stands out as one of the cooler action sequences, and it's very full and detailed. So.
Yeah, it was number 3 on our list of the top moments from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I know it got a little hate, but I'd still keep it in the top 5.
Yeah, I don't think it really got hit. I think some people were surprised by it.
By getting that far, yeah. I wouldn't change it out of top 5 for sure. I might bump it, but okay. So with apologies for story jumping, all that happened, and then they safely made it back to Earth, thankfully. And so now we're going to jump back ahead to Royal Fire Nation Palace, where Zuko is officially the Fire Nation. I almost said Overlord. He's not an Overlord. It's great, actually. And there's no Phoenix King.
Originally in the script, they didn't have this short little moment between Aang and Zuko. And then they're like, wait a minute. Aang hasn't said a word in the past, 5 minutes. After he defeats Ozai, he doesn't say anything. So we kind of need him to just have this moment. And they're really glad that they got this moment between Zuko and Aang. I think it's a beautiful moment because it brings their whole stories together, full circle. And they say it man, I can't believe a year ago I was stuck in a block of ice. And Zuko's like, I can't believe a year ago my mission was to capture you. Beautiful storytelling.
I can't imagine that it would have felt quite the same, or that we'd have got the same closure if they hadn't added that in. I mean, it would have been fine. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know, but yeah, I'm glad it made it.
And I love how Zuko then goes out, and they crown him, and he says, pretty much he says, "This is the end. Today, this war ends." And he pretty much gives a promise to restore the honor of the Fire Nation. And he says, "No, I'm not the hero. The Avatar is." Very humble of Zuko. And then they get this little moment of Katara looking at Aang, "Oh yeah, I'm finally ready to. The war's over now. I'm finally ready to look out and see Aang as her lover. Not lover. That sounds way too.
Those come
as
hither.
her boyfriend.
Those come hither eyes.
Yeah. So then that's the end of that. Oh, one moment I really absolutely love the moment of Sokka and Katara reuniting with their dad. And I love when he's just like, I heard what you two did, and I am so proud of you. Your mother will be proud too. Just great stuff there.
And then
all right,
we get back to the little tea shop in Ba Sing Se.
Get back to the tea shop in Ba Sing Se that Iroh owns. That I don't know why they would let a former warmonger who took down their walls and responsible for killing a lot. It's me. I'll be like, thank you, but please leave.
Thank you. Don't come back. Yeah. He's under an alias. He's under. They only knew him as the Dragon of the West. Now he's Iroh.
Yeah. Or I forgot. Mushu. Was that his name?
Mushu, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Mushu and Lee.
Dragon.
My name is Dragon of the West.
Of the West. It's hyphenated. It's the first time I remember watching it. It struck me as like an odd way to end back in the tea shop. But the more like watching it this time through a slightly older set of eyes, hopefully a more wise set of eyes. Wiser. I said more wise. It's not a thing. Wiser set of eyes. I like that it like kind of harkens back to where Iroh and Zuko had previously maybe been as close to fulfilled as they had been up to that point. And then you could maybe say something somewhat similar about Team Avatar too. Like before Aang almost died and shit really hit the fan, like they were on a clear mission at this point. They were at full strength as a team getting after they had Appa back. So I like how it kind of harkens back to the previous place at which they were their most fulfilled or most complete, kind of.
Yeah. Also, I think it's really poetic because it's them all humbling themselves. Right, they're back in Ba Sing Se in a small tea shop. There's no like huge celebration going on, people adoring them and everything. It's just them. It's very small, it's intimate. Also, you see Zuko serving tea to everybody, something that's very humble to do. He's the Fire Lord. Fire Lords aren't supposed to serve tea to everybody, but he's
much less in the Earth Kingdom.
Yeah. And then Sokka has the comedy there. That's like he's drawing them all, which is it's a cute little moment. Like I wanted to have a picture to just to show the good times, and then it's just terrible drawings from Sokka.
I would honestly hang like Sokka drawings up in frames in my room as a form of like art comedy. I would hang those. Like nice, fancy, high-end frames. So, what do you say? You ready to get to some ratings?
We didn't end on the highest note, Shawn.
Oh, well, whatever. It's some mushy stuff.
So Aang goes out because I kind of like how Aang just leaves the party just to go contemplate, and Katara joins him.
I gotta go do some thinking about stuff. Middle distance stares, Avatar stuff.
Yeah. They hug. And I like how this is a great misdirection because you might think like, oh, they just ended with a hug, and then it keeps going, and then it's really fun to hear Brian Mike talk about this moment because you can tell that they're big Katang shippers because that's what they did. But so they hug, and then they close on each other, and Katara is the one who initiates the kiss to show that she is ready. Aang was not forceful at all in this situation. And they told the animators over in Korea was like, "God, this is a very deep, long kiss." They're like, "I think it's too deep." And Brian and Mike was like, "No, it's good. It's fine."
I'm a huge Katang shipper because that's the right way in my mind. But it's still one of those moments that I gotta be honest, I don't even need it. They could have cut it off right in the tea shop, and I would have been every bit as content. I'd have still like held fast in my thoughts and beliefs. But yeah, this is mushy stuff. Whatever. Like it's fine. I don't need it. It's a good kiss
I like
though.
Um, oh, and and the Cave of Two Lovers songs plays right there also. Just a
Yeah.
little call back to when they first might have kissed.
Not the
So really,
Secret
really
Tunnel
great.
song, but the other Cave of Two
Yeah,
Lovers
not
song. It's not like
wouldn't
a
they have
hippie in
ruined
the
that movie?
background strumming a shitty ukulele.
Secret Tunnel.
Although if I would
Um,
remake a comedy version of the show, that's where I'd put that.
yeah. We also skipped over that real quick that Zuko went to go visit his father in
Oh
prison.
yeah. Okay, so this
Yeah,
to me is way more important than the kiss for sure, because
I think so. Yeah,
this gives you something.
yeah. And I think it's this might be one of the scenes that they added in to add to make the episode breathe a little bit more. And Ozai's like, "Lucky me, the new Fire Lord has graced me with his presence." And then I love how Zuko's like, "You're lucky that Avatar didn't take your life," and pretty much how like banishment was the best thing you could have done for me. It set me on the right path. Hopefully, your time in here can do the same. He's just like, and he's like, "I just want to know one thing: where is my mother?" And that just lets you know that he's still thinking about her.
I I don't say I hope he died because I don't hope people die other than normally in the way that everybody dies. But I hope Ozai died in like a mediocre prison fight.
I think he's in solitary confinement the rest of his life.
Oh, that's
To me,
almost.
you don't. To me, you don't run the risk until he's like 60,
So then he's a 60-year-old man
70.
and he doesn't have his bending, and then I'm like, you know what? We could probably throw him in with the other. We could throw him on the
Actually, you know
boiling
what?
rock. Like you can't hurt anything on there.
To me, that might not even be good either because old people in Avatar are very resourceful. So maybe when he's
Fair.
on his deathbed, when he's 90 years old, he can finally come out into general population.
Just put him a couple days in the boiling rock and let him pick some fights with some angry former war prisoners or something.
Yeah.
Just try to stir the
Or
pot.
or he's locked up in like the southern or the northern water tribe. But I'm sure they didn't move him anywhere. I'm sure Zuko wants to have a close eye on him.
Fair. I'm sure he's well, and I think you've talked the comics expound upon this, but I'm sure he still has like a loyal following to an
Yes.
extent. So
Yeah.
more like
Yep.
protection from outside influence,
Yeah.
a barrier
But
there.
yeah, that is Avatar: The Last Airbender, greatest show of all time.
Yeah, well, and as evidenced by our inability to say the story in the correct order, there's a lot of loose ends that get tied up, and I mean that as a high compliment. It's like there was nothing important, no important stone was left unturned, and that's really comfortable. A lot of closure. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's do some ratings. Let's do this
Ratings.
thing.
I have not told you my ratings yet, as I usually do, because I want to keep it
keep me
close to the
obsessed.
vest.
Well,
I don't
joke's
know where
on
that
you.
thing
Now
came
you can't
from.
look at the PowerPoint to see what they are, so you have to remember them.
That's okay, because audiovisual, this of course gets a 10. I've been talking about the freaking sound design a lot. I rarely ever just talk about the sound design, but everything else was great as well.
You've talked about
And
sound clips, specific ones. That's a big deal.
And yeah, it gets a 10 without a doubt. So much great visual storytelling, especially with the Zuko and Azula fight, the Order of the White Lotus stuff. All that is really good. That gets a 10. Story, I mean, gosh, even from the old Masters episode with Zuko and Ariel's reuniting, that alone gets this to be a freaking 10. And then this is it's a great finale. Um, it wraps up, like you say, wraps up everything. I think this is the perfect finale you want. There's conflict in there. Characters go through a lot. Story arcs are wrapped up appropriately. This is the end of an epic tale. So yeah, story definitely gets a 10. Memorable, without a doubt, this gets a 10 as well. And to me, from all the shows that I've loved, in my life, or shows that I've just watched, this is still the best finale I have watched. Second best would be the Scrubs finale. The first one, not the. They had a season 9, which I don't even count as Scrubs because it really was technically a different show, even though it had some of the same characters. Not important. Season 8 finale of Scrubs is amazing. I really loved it. I just rewatched it a couple weeks ago. It still
That's such a dramatic. That's such a dramatic change of show type from Avatar that it's funny to hear you say that. But that's another bad thing. Nothing against Scrubs.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the best finale for me. Like, yeah, it's freaking perfect. So yeah. So whatever score, really easy to get for me is a 10. Straight 10.
It's easy to manage. Audio visual 10. Same reasons. It seems like they went into more detail. Seems like every movement had a purpose, and doing that across 80 minutes of television, 90 minutes almost, is no small feat. That's a movie. I'll say it 1,000 times. It's a movie. Story 10. They wrap up so many loose ends. Not a case where things are over-explained or that they feel like they have to put the exact logic or reason to every piece to the point of ruining some of the charm. But just all the important storylines are tied up in a perfect way. Okay, memorable. I did give a 9, and I didn't know where else to put it, but I had to knock it somewhere for, like, it had an advantage that no other episodes had 4 episodes to tell this really, really big epic story. It's not a knock so much as when I think back and I was like, I absolutely cannot remember what happens in what episode. Even some of the episodes leading up to the finale bleed into it. It's not a bad thing. It's still 9. It's amazing. It's the greatest finale I've ever seen for sure. And so that's a 9.7. You average that with yours. That's a 9.85. That's a 9.9.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good piece of television in my humble opinion. And that's all she wrote. That's our finale. For a week. No.
Yeah, for a week. Yeah, we have. Please stay tuned. We will continue.
Yes.
We have plenty of one-off episodes, and we'll be getting into some of the comic books, and then of course we'll be getting into Legend of Korra. And then by the time all that is done, we'll be getting into the Netflix show. So we probably have like another good forever worse of material to talk about Avatar with. At least 4 years, I'm guessing.
There's a good chance that after that I know that the Dragon Prince is very like polarizing, but I absolutely love that show. It's like, wouldn't bother me to talk about these creators' other works. I love Futurama. We'll just go on creator tangents. No, the next few weeks will be a little maybe erratic in the type of stuff we post. You're having a baby. It's almost Memorial Day weekend. That'll play a factor for me, I think. I've got some client meetings coming up. So we've got some pre-recorded stuff that we'll put out. And then we will attempt to do something with comics. We haven't really discussed what we're going to do with the comics yet. I think my goal is I think there's like YouTube, I don't know what you want to call them, like essentially YouTube audiobook reads of the comics where I can kind of watch and have them read out loud. So I'll probably try to do that in the next few weeks. And then we'll go to Korra. And then, I would like to think that the live action show will be out before we're done with Korra. And I don't know what we'll do there. I'm not sure all about it. But I would like to think that it will be out before that time.
It should be. There's like 50 episodes of Korra. That's
a year right there.
Year.
So, yeah, so I don't know how I'll balance that. But that's the future. Alternate back and forth. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But in the meantime, it'll be a little erratic in what we post, but we'll get something up every week. I think the weekly show has gotten really nice response, at least in the form of consistent viewership. So we'll put something up every week. But until that time, Chris, thanks for joining me. Good luck with the whole new baby thing. I hear that's pretty cool. And it's just what I hear. And my name is Shawn Shaler. That's Chris Ford, a.k.a. The Objective Geek on YouTube and Twitter. Go check us out on Instagram and Twitter. It's last_podcasters. Should be great _ divide, but whatever. Last_podcasters. And then Facebook.com/Avatar The Last Podcasters. Hit us up with your show ideas. We've been doing what ifs. So if you have interesting what if scenarios we've already pre-recorded a few of those, and that might act as their kind of good, slightly shorter filler episodes. So we appreciate those, and they always inspire good conversation. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on the finale. I'm sure we'll have some ranking videos as well. Until that time, thank you so much for joining us. Go enjoy Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you guys. See you later.